This regular meeting of the Kailua Neighborhood Board is called to order at 7:02. First order of business in any hybrid meeting is to conduct roll call. Josiah Akau. Travis Council.
Present online.
Present remotely. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laea.
Here. Remotely.
Present remotely. Jade Lau. Mike Lee. Levani Lipton. Carol Miyashiro.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Kayala Morel. Kate Ryder. Claudine Tomasa. Present in person. Steve Trecker. Also present in person. Evan Weber. Gary Weller. Here. Present in person. John White. Donna Wong.
Here in person.
Here in person. Jeff Suckernick.
Present online.
Present remotely. And I am present. So we have 5 members present in person and 4 members present remotely. That does not constitute a quorum. However, we will be able to proceed with the meeting. We just will not be able to conduct business without at least 10 members. We'll start with announcements. The Kailua Chamber of Commerce will host the 75th annual Kailua 4th of July Parade and 4th of July fireworks. The parade will begin on North Kailua Drive near the intersection of Ulilama Street and will end on South Kailua Drive about 1 mile later at Kailua Intermediate School. HPD will close down Kailua Drive promptly at 9 a.m. and the parade is expected to start at 10 a.m. The fireworks show at Kailua Beach Park is expected to begin about 8 p.m. Information is available at kailuafireworks.com. Alexander and Baldwin will sponsor shuttles between the Kailua Town Parking Garage at La Hala Shops and Longs, between there and Kailua Beach Center. And those shuttles will operate every 30 minutes between 4:30 and 10:30. We're all looking forward to the 4th, and our board is looking forward to participating in the parade. Because the 4th of July is on a Thursday, which is normally when the neighborhood board would meet, the July 2024 Kailua Neighborhood Board meeting has been rescheduled for Thursday, July 11th here at the Kailua District Park. And committee meetings that would normally occur on Thursday, July 11th have been rescheduled for Thursday, July 18th. Replacement of a leaning utility pole across from the Lanikai Monument is scheduled to occur on Thursday, June 20th between 8:30 and 2:30. The work will restrict pedestrian access into Lanikai and impact traffic on Mokulua Drive. Hawaiian Electric Crews will remove the wooden pole and install a fiberglass pole with stainless steel hardware, requiring partial closure of the Makai Lane of Mokulua from Alapapa Drive to just before Kaniapu Place. Traffic will be counterflowed in the Mauka Lane. Pedestrians will not be allowed into Lanikai while work is in progress due to the lane closure and a crane blocking the footpath. Parking lots and the bus stop on the Mauka side of Mokulua will remain accessible, and the Kailua boat ramp entrance will also remain open. On Sunday, June 23rd, between 10 and 1, there will be an Akahi Fire Safety and Emergency Fair. This will take place at Akahi Park Shopping Center. Honolulu Fire Department, Station 19, Kailua Alert and Prepared, Alexander and Baldwin, and depending on potential action tonight, the Kailua Neighborhood Board would be hosting this event. Preparation for wildfire emergencies, of course, is an urgent topic after the Maui wildfires. And finally, the Office of Information Practices has issued an opinion and asked the Neighborhood Commission Office to announce this at all neighborhood board meetings, and that is that group texts, a text sent to all members of a neighborhood board or group emails, if it pertains to board business, would be a violation of the Sunshine Law. Such emails, if they are administrative in nature, are okay, but if it pertains to influencing board business, it would not be okay. Are there any other announcements tonight from
Mr.
board
Chair?
members? Claudine Tomasa.
Can you please let me know when we have 13 or 14 board members so we can take the agenda out of order and put that motion in that the Kailua Neighborhood Board will participate in the June 23rd Aikahi Fire Safety Management Preparedness Fair. Thank you.
Okay. Other announcements from the audience, online? Okay. We'll lead off with Honolulu Police Department, Honolulu Fire Department reports. Before we begin, however, I would like to introduce Major Paiva. You could raise your hand. Major Paiva is the new commander of HPD District 4, which is the windward side. So congratulations on your promotion. Mahalo for joining us tonight. And we have Officer Atkins for HPD report.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jared Atkins with District 4 Community Policing Team. We also have Night Watch Lieutenant Villaflor online as well. The stats for May 2024 are in Kailua, there are 6 motor vehicle thefts versus 2 the previous month. There were 7 burglaries in May versus 7 the previous month. There were 25 thefts in May versus 48 the previous month. There were 10 car break-ins or UMVs in May versus 8 the previous month. There were 0 robberies in May versus 0 the previous month. And then compared to last year, there were 5 less motor vehicle thefts this year.
I've got
Three
Average
more
volume
burglaries
to
this year.
my storage.
5 more thefts this year, or 5 less thefts this year, and 6 more car break-ins this year. The robberies are the same.
Is she the one who
And
told?
then also a crime trend that's kind of coming up
They're unhappy because
is
what is for the raise?
vehicles are being stolen that have their lock boxes attached to
She
them.
the one that
So
told-
No.
people leave their keys in their lockbox on the car. Thieves are coming along and breaking those lock boxes, and then they have the keys to the car. So if you are keeping your lockbox on your car or know someone that is, I advise them to maybe take it off and keep their keys with them at all times, because that's a crime trend we're seeing. I can take any questions or concerns from the community. That's all I have for the stats.
The lady, the
All
other.
right, questions for Officer Atkins from the board. Carol Miyashiro.
Hi, good evening and welcome again, Major. So that was very nice to meet you the other day.
Officer Atkins, could you please provide an update on the homeless camping situation in Kailua Beach Park? The pavilion was just recently reopened after it had been closed for repairs. And then also, what is the status of the homeless campers at the park across from Windward Boats? I understand that there was a recent fight and a stabbing between two homeless individuals. And thank you again for all that you do.
Yeah, sure. So, with Kailua Beach Park, still kind of we've been warning people. There were a few campers that were in the pavilion when it was closed. We, warned them that, that the pavilion was closed, so they weren't allowed to be in there. And then we also, gave them information about camping and tried to provide outreach for them. They declined, but they were actually they were actually going to be getting housing the next day. So, they moved on, and then we continue to make spot checks to the area to make sure no one is camping in the area. And then as far as the park across from River Boats, it's unofficially known as Kuopaka Park, kind of by the My Kailua sign, or not the My Kailua, but the Welcome to Kailua sign. There, so some groups do some outreach for the homeless there a few times a week. So they kind of gather there throughout the week at these times. However, that park is a no trespassing park in that area. There is signage there. So we've enforced that park for many years, and we still continue to do so. However, we've been kind of laying off when they do the outreach. So it's kind of strange for us because it's a no trespassing area. However, outreach comes to try and help these individuals, and at the time they're trespassing. So we're trying to work with parks to get we are working with parks to get more signage in that area to, remind people that there is no trespassing, and we're hoping that maybe this outreach can be moved to some other location, as it is against the law to be in that area.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? Donald Sakamoto. I believe you're muted.
Chair,
There
can you
you
hear
go.
me now? Thank you.
Yes.
My question to Officer Atkins, I just want to know, what is the citation fee for vehicles for speeding, no registration, no license, DUIs, etc.? Have you been doing that in Kailua area? And regarding the electric bikes, have you seen an increase of electric bikes illegally riding our sidewalks and hampering pedestrians? Have you enforced that?
So yes, we enforcement has increased in all those areas. It's going on daily. So there's citations been giving out for all that, and yeah, that's. Let me know if you have anything else, but yes, enforcement is increasing. It has increased for the past week, and it's going to continue in all those areas.
Okay, thank you for your service and your department, what you're doing about that. Thank you.
Any other questions tonight for HPD? From the audience? Online? I appreciate the enhanced statistics that you've been providing the last 2 months that are not only the completed month statistics, but also the same month a year ago. That better allows us to evaluate for trends, and also the inclusion of other neighborhoods within District 4 to see if there are trends, if they're matched with Kaneohe, Waimanalo, and so on. So appreciate that additional detail. Also received an email from a concerned resident about a recent homeless sweep in the downtown Kailua area. Is there anything you can amplify about that?
We don't have anything currently scheduled in the Kailua area, but I know DLNR has been doing quite a bit. They've done above windward boats. They did below the preschool, leisure and preschool, and they've also been doing on Kapa'a Quarry. So they're on their own schedule, so I'm not sure exactly if they're going to continue or what they have planned. But as far as us, we don't have anything planned right now. But if complaints come up or issues arise, we will always schedule more.
All right, mahalo. Okay, have a good evening, and we'll move on to Honolulu Fire Department.
Check. Aloha, good evening. My name is Firefighter Constance Molina. I'm assigned to the Kailua station on second watch on the ladder. Just some stats for you for the month of May. As far as fires went last month, we had 2 structure fires, no wildland or brush fires this month. We had 1 nuisance, which is considered a fire that includes rubbish fires outside of a structure or a vehicle. We had no cooking fires this past month, and we had 12 activated alarms, which means that the alarms went off, but there were no fires at that time. As far as emergencies went, we responded to 108 medical emergencies, 1 motor vehicle collision with a pedestrian, 3 motor vehicle crash collisions, 1 mountain rescue, no ocean rescues last month, and we had 1 hazardous material incidents. We're coming into the summer, so we have some fire safety tips for the community and all of our ohanas. As far as power outages go, Hawaii is fire prone with a year-round risk of wildfire. Hazardous weather conditions, especially during hurricane season, which we just started, running June 1st and November 30th, will increase that risk. HFD encourages everyone to proactively protect yourself and your family and your property through advanced planning, understanding, and preparation. In the event of a power outage, remember these safety tips. First one, build a 14-day disaster supply kit, taking inventory of the items you need to rely on that require electricity. Plan for batteries and other alternative power sources to meet your needs when the power goes out. Know your medical needs. That's a really big one. So if you have devices that require power, or you have medicine that's going to require refrigeration, to be proactive and cognizant about that. A general list of all of this is available online at honolulu.gov/DEM if you want more information. Regarding using appliances during power outages, avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. That's some stuff that we can get from our generators when we're running them, or our camping stoves and the charcoal grills. All of this should be used outdoors and at least 20 feet away from our windows. Turn off or disconnect appliances and equipment or electronics that may be damaged during possible momentary power surges or spikes. So if you like your TVs, you might want to unplug those from the walls. For more safety tips and detailed information, please feel free to visit ready.gov/power-outages. Starting July 1st, just a reminder that HECO is going to be commencing their public safety power shutoff program to reduce the risk of wildfire. As one component of their 3-phase wildfire safety strategy, HECO may preemptively shut off power in identified high-risk areas during periods of forecast high winds and dry conditions. This program is being utilized as our last line of defense to keep communities safe, and it may result in extended power outages. This program could last anywhere between several hours or up to several days. So back to the first point of having that 14-day kit is really important. HFD and HECO are going to continue to work with Board of Water Supply, city, state, and other federal agencies to lessen any impact from this program. For further information, please feel free to visit hawaiianelectric.com, and thank you for your time.
Mahalo. Questions tonight for HFD? Questions online? In the audience? All right, and again, mahalo for HFD's participation in the Kahi Fire Safety and Emergency Fair on Sunday, June 23rd from 10 to 1 at the Kahi Park Shopping Center, as we all attempt to increase public awareness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is board business. We have one committee motion. And when we're done with this motion, for your information, Claudine, we currently have 13 members present. The motion is the Kailua Neighborhood Board supports the Akahi Elementary School proposed energy resiliency improvements and the Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program grant application. These improvements align with the state's 100% renewable energy goals and will ultimately reduce the school's utility expenses. The proposed project also provides solar-covered shaded play courts and parking areas. This motion comes from the Transportation and Public Works Committee. Travis Council, would you like to amplify this at all?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, this was a follow-up from Akahi Elementary School's presentation to the board in our December meeting, and was a request from them for a letter of support to go along with their grant application. So we're, at least from the committee level, happy to support that, and I would hope the board would support that as well. Thank you.
All right, motion is open for discussion. Donna Wong.
Yes, Travis, are they going to put the solar on existing play courts and parking areas? Or are they going to be building new?
So it would be covering existing parking and an existing play court, but the structures would be new. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other discussion? Online? Residents in attendance? Okay, we'll call for the vote. This is on the motion supporting the Akahi Elementary School proposed energy resiliency improvements. Josiah Akau.
Aye.
Aye. Travis Council.
Aye.
Aye. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yes.
Aye. David Laia.
Aye.
Aye. Jade Lau. Mike Lee. Lavani Lipton. Aye. Carol Miyashiro.
Aye.
Aye. Kayala Morel. Kate Ryder. Claudine Tamasa. Aye. Steve Trecker.
Aye.
Aye. Evan Weber.
Aye.
Aye. Gary Weller.
Aye.
Aye. John White.
Aye.
Aye. Donna Wong. Aye. Jeff Zuckernick.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. The motion passes unanimously with 14 votes. All right. Claudine, would you like to make your motion now?
Yes, so I would like to amend the agenda so that we can include an individual motion stating that the Kailua Neighborhood Board will participate in the Aikahi Fire Safety and Preparedness Fair on June 23rd, 2024 at the Aikahi Park Shopping Center. This is an individual motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, the motion to amend our agenda has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
What is exactly happening? I'm sorry, Bill. Should I raise my hand? There we go.
David Laia.
Sorry about that. I'm not clear about what the event is and what's being asked of the board.
The motion right now is to amend the agenda so we could, if approved, we could then subsequently consider a motion. The proposed motion would be that the Kailua Neighborhood Board participate in the June 23rd Akahi Fire Safety and Emergency Fair. But right now, the motion is to amend the agenda so that that could be considered.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, this would require a 2/3 vote, so it would require 13 votes to add this to the agenda. I'll call for the motion. Josiah Akau?
Aye.
Aye. Travis Council?
Aye.
Aye. Amber Granite? Kellyanne Kobayashi?
Yes.
Aye. David Laea?
Yes.
Aye. Jade Lau? Mike Lee? Ravani Lipton? Aye. Carol Miyashiro?
Aye.
Aye. Kayla Morel? Kate Ryder? Claudine Tomasa? Aye. Steve Trecker?
Aye.
Aye. Evan Weber? Aye. Gary Weller? Aye. John White?
Aye.
Aye. Donna Wong? Aye. Jeff Suckernick?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. The motion passes unanimously, 14 votes. So the agenda tonight is amended. When we get to the individual motions part of the agenda, we'll have an opportunity to introduce this motion. Mahalo. We move on now to local agency reports, starting with the Board of Water Supply. Danny Ornelas.
Mr.
Hi,
Chair,
good
are we
evening.
going to vote on the motion or are you going to the Board of Water Supply?
The motion is added to our individual motions, which are later in the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Board of Water Supply.
Hi, good evening. It's Danielle Ornelas with the Board of Water Supply. And a message from the Board of Water for the month of June, just to report, water main break. Last month, we had one on North Kalaheo, the 8-inch water main. And then the announcement, the Board of Water has its annual water quality report. This report comes out yearly and will be mailed to each person by July 1. It shows the test of the water sources and the distribution center, and also shows to ensure the municipal water meets or exceeds all federal and state drinking water standards. It will be shared with all the customers again and will be delivered or mailed to their home by July 1. You can also get a digital copy at our boardofwatersupply.com website. If you had any other specific questions, you can call our communications department, 748-5041. And then I also had a reply to last month's question. Let's see. The question was regarding from Mr. Weller, if they have started building the tanks above the Kalaheo High School, the replacement tank. And a response from our communication department, construction has not yet begun. We're still waiting on permits to be approved from the Department of Planning and Permitting. Board will provide updates when they become available. Second question, if there will be a wireless cell phone tower up at the tank site. And response, yes, T-Mobile will construct a new telecommunication facility on site after the replacement reservoir is completed. Time frame is still unknown. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for Board of Water Supply tonight? Board members? Online? Donald Sakamoto.
Yes, Chair, can you hear me now?
Yes.
My question to Board of Water Supply is if there is a power outage, like Hawaiian Electric will be shutting the power, how will the water be supply to our water, fire hydrants in case of fire. Is there backup for power to run our water system so we don't have something like how we did in Lahaina?
Right. Yeah, I don't have an official response, but I have just my own knowledge of of that. And as far as I know right now, the planned power shutoffs are for the west side from Nanakuli to Makaha. That's a good question though, in case it does come up. I will research that, but you know, I don't know. I mean, usually when we have a main break, they use alternate pumps to fill an alternate tank in case of low water, or you know, the tank should drain out. But I'll look into that and find out more for you for next month. Sorry.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, mahalo, Danny.
Thank you.
Next, Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Christy.
Good evening, board chair, and good evening, neighborhood, Kailua neighborhood. I have several things to share tonight. Just want to share just a few things. I did send Spencer a few emails. I'm hoping to be able to show on the screen. I wanted to just remind everybody that RIMPAC is going to be beginning soon. We were already seeing some progress with the setting up of all of the tents. So throughout the month of July and going through the first week of August, then we'll start to see them leaving. Also, you may have been noticing a lot of air traffic. Currently, we have the Century Aloha, which is the National Guard that is training. These are our Hawaii National Guard young men and women who have the opportunity to utilize aircraft that is coming from the mainland. And they've been able to train with equipment that is not stationed here. And so it's giving them training exercises that are, like I said, not usually here. And it just increases their training opportunities. You'll notice that they're only Monday through Friday, and I know they're very noisy. It's the F-16s. Monday through Friday only. They're done by 4 o'clock and nothing on the weekend. And the F-16s should be leaving by this weekend, and then that will be completed. We have a weed warrior this Saturday. If anybody is interested in participating, I'll leave the phone number for environmental if you're interested. And what I'd really like to share. If I can, yes. So this past Tuesday, I think I've shared over the last couple of months how we have been working with the organizers for the Festival of the Pacific of Arts and Culture. We were able to support the Va'a ceremony, where all of the canoes came to Makaku and were able to stage and be in a protected area in preparation for their travel down to Kualoa on Wednesday. We are very excited that Polynesia Voyaging Society also provided educational opportunities and tours for our military families to go on to Iosepa, which is a canoe that is held at the Polynesian Culture Center. First time in 10 years that Iosepa has sailed. And it was very exciting to see her crew come into Makaku, as well as Hokulea, the Cook Islands, Tahiti, Hawaii, not Hawaii, but the Big Island canoe, Makali'i, all came in, and their crews came and they had protocol. Kawaikapu, Hewitt, oversaw the protocol for all of the canoes and all of the captains. We had Kapua Deleri and her hula halau perform hula for our CO Commander Jeremy Bevan. My apologies. Does the video play? Okay, that's fine. Channel 2 News did a really nice story when they were interviewing Kalani Ka'anana when he was talking about the waiting for the va'a to come. And they had a lot of the pictures that showed the events throughout the day. It was really a beautifully and wonderful exchange to see happen on Mokapu, historic. Of course, we know we'll never see anything like that again. But just to see all the va'a there at Mokapu, and they were tied up against the long fuel pier, it was a privilege. The Cook Island crew had said that they felt probably the safest in this location because usually when they're tied up at a public pier, they have a lot of the public asking if they can sail with them. So they're kind of bombarded. And in this case, they were able to focus on the preparations for the following day. On Wednesday morning at 5 a.m., all the crews began to arrive, as well as many of the delegates. The Prime Minister and his wife from New Zealand were able to come aboard the Marine Corps base and were able to get on top, board the canoes with simplicity, and everything was calm on their end and stressful on ours. And we had several delegates from 28 different countries were in representing. And as you folks all saw from the news, if you've been tracking, everybody was well received in Kailua, but we were so happy to be able to support and just to see the exchange, that cultural exchange between the military families and asking the questions and being able to get onto Iosepe and get onto Hokulea, and our commander and his family, the sergeant major and many of the other military families getting on board. It was really asking all the questions. It was really wonderful. And that was the highlight. That's the highlight of my whole month. And this coming Monday, we have another cultural exchange that we're going to be able to do. Every year, the Kailua Windward Buddhist Temple comes out to Waimanalo in Belos, and there's a cemetery there that they come and they take care of, and they come and bring flowers for the graves that are there. Most of those graves are from the early 1900s and previous, but we still care and give them opportunity to come and pay respects. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Okay, questions tonight for Christy, Marine Corps Base Hawaii, Gary Weller.
I kind of forget, someone spoke out at the last meeting about a fire break around your base. And we're maybe concerned again that if we have a really hot, dry summer, some of the residents in Akahi Park were concerned about the distance between their backyard and the halikoa and the grass and everything. And at the Firewise meeting that we had, we learned that there's a state law. Now, it may not be applicable to you, but it might be advised to do it, where anywhere from 30 to 100 feet from any residential line should be, any property line should be cleared and have a fire break. So I know that you have a jogging path around there, but I don't know how well maintained it is. So if you could look into that for me, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I will write that down and follow up for exactly what the difference. I know that they do clean it, but I will just follow up I know there's an excellent fire plan for the range.
All right, other questions? Donna Wong.
Yes, my usual question, is there an update on the soil study?
Major Fox had an interview at the Capitol earlier this week where he shared about the soil sample and they're waiting for the study to come back. We're still waiting.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Other questions? Online? David Laia.
Hi, thank you very much. Just kind of curious. I know that you shared the event with the military families, but I'm wondering if you were able to reach out to the local community that would be interested in this and to be able to participate in it.
Well, this specific event was through the Ko'olau Hawaiian Civic Club, who had requested that Nainoa Thompson come and share with this event. So it was Ko'olau Foundation, Ko'olau Hawaiian Civic Club, and the base commander who asked for Nainoa to come. And I did forget to share the most important part, that he came and he shared and spoke with the families. So the focus was for the military families, and the original ask from the coordinator of the FESPAC, who was Bonnie Kahapea, was they needed a place to moor all these large canoes. And the Marine Corps base had the safest cove and the largest pier space to do that collectively for their goal. Also, it gave that location for all of those DVs to enter and get on board for the procession to Kailua.
Donald Sakamoto.
Yeah, my question for Marine Corps Base Hawaii is if there is a fire, I used to work at the base at the exchange, but there was fires by the scenic route by H3 on the mountain, core trees burning. Is Marine Corps Base Hawaii have helicopters to have water drops to assist with fires near the base?
So are you saying in a location off the base?
Yeah, if it's needed, could the Marine Corps help with wildfires close to the base that may impact the community or the base itself?
I know that there is a appropriate protocol for things to happen in a specific process. I cannot say yes, that would be out of line, but I do know that there's a process. That's all I can say to that.
Thank you. I appreciate if you can check on that. Thank you.
Questions from the audience? If you could use the microphone.
Yes, I can find out what that protocol is. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the governor. I'll find out. I don't want to say anything without knowing. I am basing off of what I remember happened with Maui and how things were set in motion, but I will get confirmation first.
Okay, other questions from the audience, and please use the microphone so that the Olelo recording can capture the question. There's any microphone on the table.
Christy, thank you so much for what you're doing. And I appreciate it. It was interesting to see the canoes on the bay sailing out there. It is my understanding that the MV-22s are not to fly over populated land areas like neighborhoods. And this doesn't happen a whole lot, but it is on a regular basis, where there are two in particular that seem to be heading up over Kalaheo Hillside, Oneava, Mokapu, around there. And because of the safety issues, I know people in Windward Coalition have been pretty concerned about this. So if you could check and see what is going on with that and send them different way.
Mary, can I call you also directly?
Sure.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, I have.
Donna Wong.
Yeah, in response to that, are you going to get back to the board with what the flight pattern is too? Okay, thanks.
In addition to.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions for Marine Corps Base Hawaii?
Yes, I just want to confirm that today, two MV-22s, Ospreys, flew right over the homes right near me. And I know that there's someone online that is very concerned with Molino and overflights. I don't know if you're still here, but perhaps you could speak to the group about it. Morley, are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me, Eileen?
Yes, we can hear
Oh,
you.
great. Okay, it's working. Great. Good evening, all. And board, thank you so much for all that you do for the community and all the concerned folks in the audience. My name is Morley Gray. I'm a resident of Kaimolino area. And, all you got to do is go online and look at the very checkered history of the V-22. Now, I'm not a military basher or Marine basher, or I'm not going to bash this aircraft, but I will tell you that I flew for 22 years as a military aviator. And all you have to do is Google the history of the V-22, and it's a very checkered history with numerous groundings. The most recent 6 December of last year, and just ungrounded a couple months ago. They are continuing to fly these aircraft over populated areas, sometimes in close formation, which is incredibly dangerous. There's only one thing more dangerous than an osprey, and that's 2 of them flying over your house. So something has got to be done before there's another tragedy. Now, unfortunately, the Marines are stuck with this for now. They put their eggs all in this one basket, but please, you have almost 3,000 acres of land and 180 degrees of ocean, and RIMPAC aside, we're flying over civilian property with this very dangerous aircraft. I highly recommend that anybody who shares these concerns, Google it, look at the accident history. It is one of the worst things that was ever built. Thank you.
Okay, so for the record, that was Eileen Hilton and Morley Gray. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, this brings back.
Claudine Tomaso.
Yes, this brings back what happened in 2018 when a helicopter crashed on Oniava. Only thing now, this is a military. I just think maybe we need to keep an eye as a neighborhood board on what's happening. Thank you for bringing this up. What is the route? Where is it heading? Where is it going? Isn't there another path that the ospreys can be flying instead of over densely populated neighborhoods? So I think, Carol, if you're on the screen right now, maybe we need to bring that up. David, I know you're very concerned about commercial helicopters flying over Kailua, but I think we should also include this on the public safety, public health. Anything like that?
Thank you, Claudine. I agree.
Okay, well, let me summarize, Christy. I think there are 2 questions. One, is there currently a Marine Corps policy directive regarding the Osprey and densely populated civilian areas? 2, if there is a directive, how is that being implemented and applied to Windward Oahu? And separately, last month, you'd requested time at this meeting for a wetlands EA presentation, and that has been postponed. You'll let us know when it's ready. Okay. Thank you. Looks like we have one more question. John White.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, forgot your name, but thank you for coming. A few meetings ago, Marine Corps representatives talked about a secondary transmission line for electricity to feed the base. Do you know about that? And if you do, is there any type of update on where that's at?
I do not have any information about that, but I can take this back to our facilities maintenance and see what they can share.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to next order of business, which is resident and community concerns. Please use the microphone, and each individual will have 3 minutes.
Thank you to the board, sir. Fellow residents, hey, I want to stand up this evening and bring to attention the recent DHHL decision, or at least a resolution by the city county on the Kalaheo hillside. I've lived on Kalaheo hillside for over 21 years. I'm a resident here. This is my home. I think the one thing I want to express to the council members and to the board is while we want to do the right things, sometimes we need to be very careful to do no harm to what's already here. So I want to just basically bring this attention to. Again, this was announced 2 days ago with no prior knowledge or warning or anything to the community that we were considering basically doing significant construction into the plat of land there that fronts Iliana and the backside of Ilimano. Again, based upon that, in the statements of the committee or the council of upwards of 90 residents, I mean, doing simple math here, and you start to go about 2 to 3 cars per house. Now you're putting 90 cars. Now you're putting the better part of 4 to 5 people per household onto a 10-acre lot that is undeveloped and hasn't been developed for almost 40 plus years that it's been there. And so to the council and to the board, I would ask to kind of consider this. We need to really step back, I think, and look at the negative impact on the existing hillside community. This is an established community of single family homes that has been there for the better part since the late 1950s, and what you still have there. And so I think that we've got to be careful in terms of volume of people and the traffic and the impact that will pose to the community as it stands today. Point number 2 is really the impact that we've talked about again, particularly when you look at the traffic pattern on Kalaheo hillside. Now with all the accessory dwelling units, the new coming up with the CRP, you walk down Ilimano or Iliana now, you can it's in the evening, it's barely single lane traffic because the roads are so dense, so packed that there is no room to maneuver cars. And so now we're going to bring more and more and more. And this seems to be a pattern that is concerning to many of the residents that I talk to. So down on Iliana, we need to think about, okay, you want to bring heavy construction equipment through one access point to come up grade, build roads, install sewers, install water, install power, install rainwater runoff. That is not an insignificant construction. And then to the impact of downhill, not to mention what it's going to do in terms of traffic, which comes onto the hillside. The other thing that the DHHL and the city council statement is that they will not, they'll basically follow existing zoning reservations. But what my concern is with the CRP, with the ADUs, with the other things that are there, are we going to turn 30 lots into 60 or 90 lots because we subdivide these? And again, now start doing your multiplication factors where you go in there. If we even thought about an initial environmental assessment, there have been at least 2, if not 3 attempts to purchase this land in the past where it's been deemed either infeasible because of the soil's condition, the soil contamination, pick your choice of things that have been reported off the Kalaheo hillside. I would think most troubling is the stormwater runoff. And what is most, again, significantly concerning to me as a resident that nearby is that when the storm comes down, if the city county is now basically dismissed from their responsibility from stormwater runoff, where does that leave me as a homeowner? I'm now fronting that bill to maintain the stormwater runoff. Or is that going to be absorbed by DHHL and it's going to be cared for by them? I don't know. And the resolution doesn't give clear guidance on what's going on in this. Number 6 is really, if you think about it, everybody wants to do the right thing here. And again, but we keep shoving bad property onto DHL for Native Hawaiian homelands. And it's just, you're giving another one, and we're going to put that on there to do that. And it's somewhat disappointing to see this continue when we do this. And I would say, to discover this 2 days ago, to now come into the board meeting, to call the chairman and basically say, what do you know about this? And nobody knew anything. And that's not an indictment on the board or anything. I think it goes back to the city and to the state again, the impact to the existing community. This is our home, and we're talking about, while it is for Native Hawaiian for homes, I am absolutely sympathetic and supportive of that, but there has to be some examination of what we're doing. And as the current resolution is currently written, it leaves me significant concerns that we're not examining the impact and what's going on with the current residents on the hillside. I thank the board for their time.
Okay, mahalo. Other community resident concerns? We'll take this one and then you, sir.
Aloha, my name is Matt Kern, and I'm the athlete director of the Oahu Pentathlon. This will be the third year for our event, and just looking today to get the blessing of the community and of the board. The portion that will be affecting Kailua neighborhood will be the full swim section and the portion of the run the morning of Saturday, August 3rd. Then the finish line that evening into the morning of Sunday, August 4th. We estimate about 40 to 50 units, which would be either a team or an individual athlete coming through the course, and up to 100 people at either checkpoint on Saturday morning. This would be the start of the race, which is at Kailua Boat Ramp, and it's exiting, or the swim is exiting over at Castles. We don't anticipate more than a maximum of 10 to 20 people at each individual point at a time, and they will be departing fairly quickly as the race progresses. We have submitted permits to Parks and Rec, DLNR, DOBAR, and DTS, which are in process now. We have notified local businesses and will be posting notices in the neighborhoods at both the starting point and the transition point between the swim and the run. Our permits are asking for the following blocks of time with the most traffic. These details probably will mean a lot to the community. As far as the Kailua boat ramp goes, it's super early in the morning from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. I do believe that there is a canoe race that happens at that same day, and that starts at 8 o'clock. So we, as a race, are out and down the beach before they're even starting. And then the swim is going to end by 9 o'clock. And then from Castles Beach, we're really going to utilize that area up until 9 o'clock. And then from the run section, once the athletes are basically out of Castles, it's just a short section that affects Kailua neighborhood. And then last few little notes here, we have HPD that was requested for last year as the race is around the island. They'll just be at the finish line come late at night, which is the same as last year. And then as far as water support, we have hired a water safety team called POP, or POP, which is Pacific Ocean Patrol. And then volunteers will also make sure that all athletes are abiding by traffic laws and respecting the community. Yeah.
Okay, we appreciate the heads up. This is Saturday, August 3rd.
August 3rd. Yep.
Okay, mahalo. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Jim Hancock. I belong to the community. I live on the Kalaheo hillside. I've lived there for 15 years, and I've been fighting water issues and swamp running down the hill and different attempts to do stuff with that piece of property that always smacks of this is not really what's happening. It sounds really nice for the city or the state to give the land to DHL, but they're just sort of kicking a can down the street. They came the last time they tried to sell it, they had a crew of people with seismic equipment driving stakes in the ground, measuring. And I went up and asked, what are you doing? Who are you working for? And it was, well, they just hired me. Well, who is they? And months later, the idea, let's sell this thing to whoever wants to buy it, popped up, and it was killed. It's junk land. They didn't build the elementary school there because it was gifted in with that school project. It's unstable. If you walk around back there, there's giant holes where the rain goes in and comes out someplace else. It's unstable mud. And they're never going to build houses up there without spending an enormous amount of money to fix it. So I don't trust them. I totally support DHL's mission, but it's just like building it on a sheer rock face. It's not going to work. And I would like to know how I can help bring my information to the front. This is my first meeting here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for serving on this stuff. I know how important this all is, and I just hate to get excited about something at my age. But the hillside is not stable. I've got rock walls that are laying over at 45 degrees, and nobody asks me what's happening up there. It's just a mess. They're not going to put 90 houses in there. I think that's just because once they can't do that, we can go back to selling it to that guy who wants to sell it and put whatever it is he wants. Let's leave it alone. Why don't they just give it Alexander and Baldwin, who owns the rest of that stuff, and put a fire break in there so that it doesn't come down and burn the house. And with regards to the osprey, I've never seen one fly over houses. Sometimes they ride up, they come across the base and go up through the poly that way. I don't know what they're doing when they get past our community. I'm a stay-at-home, not dad, and I'm there every day, all the time. And there's no osprey over our houses. The helicopter pilot was taking pictures. That was the guy that crashed on Oniama. Background information. Thank you very much for your time.
Mahalo. Other resident community concerns?
Hi, my name is LeGrand. I live on Kalaheo Hillside, also near the property or the parcel of property that is to be sold and to be developed. I would like to say first that I walk up and down our community sometimes 4 times a day. I talk to people along the way, and everybody would love to have it developed and would love to have Native Hawaiians there. It isn't a case of not in my backyard. It's just we've seen this go in and out of committees and not be developed. There's a reason. You're right. I'm right next to it. It's very unstable. Our house in the winter sounds like Niagara Falls with the water coming down. And I would hate people to not know that that was going to happen and have their houses and their foundations demolished. There are a lot of problems. There's not only the floods, there are the fires that we have. There have been many fires on that hillside, and they just run through there like crazy. And if something could be done, fires, the controlled fires where they burn the brush, that would be much appreciated. Being a house that's on the corner that's surrounded by that brush, it would be nice not to have to worry about that. So if that could be done in the future, I would greatly appreciate it. Another thing is there's a downward slope of the whole hillside. And it doesn't affect me that much, but Iliana, it does, because they would be on the receiving end of anything being built. Again, we don't want Native Hawaiians priced out of paradise. We don't want that. We want there to be good. I just don't think it's this piece of our property. And like Dave was talking about, DHL, people were just sending me all kinds of links and, read this and read that, but they have been given a lot of junk properties. I don't know why. I'm sure there's some reason, tax write-off or something. I don't know. Or no, I had a lot of people writing their theories. But let's give Native Hawaiians something to be proud of, not just this year, but in the years to come, 30 years from now, not having problems with their house. I know exactly what you're talking about the walls, the retaining walls falling down. It's really a problem. Dave and I have worked hard on our house trying to wick the water away, and it just can only be done to a certain point. So thank you all for being here, but please just do the right thing for us and for them. Thank you.
Mahalo. Other community resident concerns? Online? John White.
Thank you, Chair. Just to touch on that subject real quick. I was a heavy equipment operator for a while. All those houses were built on that same slope, so that's not impossible. I was part of building that new neighborhood extension there, Kailua Elementary, and the neighbors said the same thing, but that's how their houses got there. And just some food for thought, if there was another street above you guys, the curb and gutters would move that water into the storm drains and take the water off the slope. But community concerns, I had a few people approach me about a few different items, guys. The new stop sign in Kainalu, a lot of people still aren't used to it. So I don't know if HPD could put some presence there once in a while just to remind people that there is a stop sign. I see a lot of rolling stops over there, people forgetting that it's there since it's so new, just for the kids and the joggers and bikers on that path there to be safe. And then I had somebody come up to me and talk about people training dogs at the city parks as part of a business. To some of the residents, it's starting to be a nuisance with people bringing dogs to train them. And some of the parks don't allow dogs. And with the residents around that do have dogs, it kind of creates a barking fest with dogs being trained. So I don't know who would be policing that, if that's HPD or not. But it is at city parks. I know at Kaha Park, it's an issue, Kalaheo Park, and I believe KDP once in a while. So I don't know if somebody could take a look at that, but that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo.
Hey, John, this is HPD. I can answer John.
Go ahead, Officer Atkins.
Hey, John, yeah, well, we got traffic enforcement operations going on right now, so I'll let them know to try to take a look at Kainalu. And then, I'll try, inform some of the Kailua officers about the dogs at the various parks.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, Donald Sakamoto.
Yeah, Chair, I'd just like to elaborate about the dog training. Be very careful when you approach somebody who has a guide dog for sighted people that can't see guide dogs. They have the vest and whatnot. So there's two questions you can ask. Well, what does a dog for you do for you? And there's another one, but never ask the person what's their disability. That's a no-no. Regarding the roundabout that your folks are building, I testified last month at your neighbor board had concerns about blind people traversing without signals. I outreached to neighbor board 21, Chair Larry Berry, who sits on the Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization that I do also as a board member. We raised concerns about having audible weekends. They wrote a resolution, passed it on May 28th at their board. It was circulated to all the other neighbor boards, I believe. And I am on the county neighbor board. I'm a large member, and we're looking at that resolution because I believe that there should be more emphasis for people who are blind or vision impaired to traverse safely at intersections and roundabouts. So it does impact our safety, and it educates the people that we are here to be independent and be able to walk as a normal person with sight. So I urge the board, if you can look at the resolution that Neighbor Board 21 crafted and passed at their meeting. Thank you.
Mahalo. Len Groshoff.
Yes, just a brief comment. While the road's been improved after the water main break in front of the Kai Shopping Center, the road the road extending from the base to the shopping center is really riddled with potholes, and it's resulting in some pretty hairy evasive maneuvers by traffic. And I just wanted to bring it to the attention if somebody could take a look into that. It seems to be a very unimproved stretch of road.
This is by Akahi Shopping Center.
This is from the base to Akai Shopping Center. That stretch
Understand.
of road.
City and county.
All right, mahalo.
Thank you.
Jason G.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Garrett, and I'd also like to address the proposed development on the Kailua hillside. I've never thought of myself as a NIMBY, a not in my backyard kind of person, and I normally wouldn't speak to you folks about this tonight, but as this project literally abuts my property, it is in my backyard, so I thought I better at least speak up about some concerns that I have. While I can understand the importance of affordable housing being built on the hillside next door, or anywhere on the island for that matter, my concern is with the future. It has already been stated in the proposal that I read that the development standards will be relaxed to build these houses or homes, which has me greatly concerned. If anything, on that hillside, with its stability issues, the development standards should be actually increased. While I have my doubts, I will take it on faith that these homes will truly be built to reflect the look and the feel of the existing community, which is in the proposal. But consider the future, 10 to 20 years after these homes are built, what will this community look like amidst Kailua? In our home, right on the hillside, right where we are right now, in the last 2 years, we've had to replace a roof on the house and a roof on the Ohana, the consequences of storm and rain over there. We've had to completely rebuild the deck and stairs because of the wood rot. We've also from the storms and rain. We've had to reconnect a sewer line to the house at extreme cost after the hillside shifted again and cut them in half, 10 feet underground. It is painfully expensive just to maintain our home. So what will happen to this community where homes are nearly given away to folks who are likely not able to afford to maintain them properly? Deferred maintenance can have detrimental effects on the people living in the home, the neighborhood, and the community. In 20 years, when the roofs need to be replaced, when the decks and lanais all need to be replaced, when the foundations, the sidewalks, even the driveways are cracked because they were made too thin to withstand the shifting ground, or in 20 years when our homes have cracks in their walls large enough to stick their hand through, what will this shining community on the hill look like then? Again, I'm not looking to stop a community from being built there. I'm asking that we think ahead to what we can do to make sure that it is a proper reflection of Kailua far into the future. Can we require a homeowners association be created with high quality standards that must be upkept? Can the city create zoning laws that require high standards when the community is being developed? If DHHL is getting a property for such a discount of around $500,000, can they deposit the savings, which is estimated to be worth about $10 million? Can they put that in a fund to ensure that these properties are properly maintained for the next 99 years? If there's a very well thought out plan for how to maintain this community far into the future, then this can work and Kailua wins. Kailua can have a beautiful neighborhood that we can be proud of. But if it is a short-sighted attempt to appease voters or for a politician to create a legacy by throwing together a quick-built, substandard community that will be run down, blight on the community in just a few decades, then I am absolutely against it. I think all Kailua should be as well. Thank you.
Mahalo. Any other concerns? Any online? Okay. The proposed development on the Kalaheo hillside is step one in a really long process. I think the next step would be for the resolution to be heard by committee in the city council. And then if it passes committee, it would then go to the full city council. And then if they approve it and DHHL also agrees, then it would be a transfer of property to DHHL. And then within the DHHL system, where they have an inventory of about 200,000 acres, they prioritize what's shovel ready, what's not shovel ready, what requires mitigations, and so there are many steps in this process. At this point, I would ask our Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee to keep an eye on it, and I'd also invite Esther Kiana, if you'd like to make comments on that topic now, apart from your time, or save it for later. Later, okay. Levani Lipton.
Yes, Chair.
I just have a quick question. During the committee hearing, is the public allowed to testify during that time? Yes, okay. I'm just asking in case other people are wondering, especially the folks that came.
Yes, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna, because part of my report will be talking about that. I'm only gonna talk about 2 items. So this is only the first step of the process, right? So it would have a hearing and then go to full council, and then it only authorizes the city's Department of, the Director for Fiscal Services to be able to go through the administrative process for transferring. Having said that, and I'll explain it during my discussion, I am sensitive to everything that everyone has said. This project is not moving forward if after its due diligence, it is determined that it is, it's not going to be good for the homes there or the homes in the area. So what I'm asking everyone to do is to not just participate then, but also now. And if I feel that any draft amendments, which I'm expecting is still wanting, there's still more needed, then I will hold the resolution and have another hearing. So I will never short shrift the community.
Mahalo, we all appreciate that. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to next order of business, which are the mayor and governor's reports. We have Jim or Shayna tonight.
Hi, everyone. Shane Enright here for Director Jim Ireland. He sends his regards. A few highlights from the mayor's newsletter, and probably the first one is the one that I'm most excited about. If you don't know, for the last 12 years, I've been the spokeswoman for emergency medical services and for ocean safety because they fall under the Honolulu Emergency Services Department. But because of the hard work of the city council and the mayor, ocean safety has now become its own department. And on the heels of that, ocean safety broke ground on its first facility ever designed and will be built for the lifeguards in its 107-year history. And I want to thank Councilmember Kiana and Vice Chair Lavani Lipton for both attending the groundbreaking chair. I know you wanted to be there as well, but you were out of town. So thank you, Kailua, for all your support of that. It should take about a year to be built. And when it opens, we'll have a blessing and invite you all. A couple other highlights. Hurricane preparedness tips are in that newsletter. More information on the PSPS, HECO's public safety power shutoff, also mentioned by the HFD captain. I can tell you that city agencies from HFD, HPD, EMS, DEM, Board of Water Supply have all been working on this diligently. Every week we have meetings on this so that we're also prepared if ECO ever has to shut down power. At this time, this does not affect the windward side. This is more leeward side and Waialua areas. Also, a point in there was the city's support of the Hawaii Food Bank. I can tell you that they did put a lot of efforts into it this year and raised some money, a lot of money, and got a lot of donations of canned food items. The mayor is actually out in Waipahu, Waipio area tonight for the town hall. If you missed, ours was back, Kailua's was back with Waimanalo Kaneohe in March at Kailua Intermediate. The city is still looking for summer fun teenagers to come and help. If you're a teenager sitting home and wants a job, $16 an hour. They're still looking for I guess you would call them leaders to come out and help with their programs. So there is more information on their website, the Parks and Recreation website. And then that's all for the highlights. The other concerns, so sorry, Mr. Weller, I don't have an answer on Kapa'akori Road. I know that's always a hot issue. I'm hopeful that by next month I'll have more information on cutting down all the grown greens on the road there. And also, but for Mr. Sakamoto, who brought up the good idea about the changes for the city's handy van, the DTS did appreciate that and said they would look into that as they move forward with future purchases. And lastly, as I mentioned, I am the spokesperson for EMS. I'll be the ocean safety spokesperson for a little bit longer until they find somebody. If you're interested in EMS highlights, chair, or the board moving forward, like HFD and HPD do, I can always provide you with those. EMS is very short-staffed. We're very busy, and that's why we don't have a representative. But since I'm here anyways, I might be able to help with that side of things. So with that, I'm open to any questions or concerns.
All right, questions for Shane, Levani Lipton.
Aloha, Shane, and thank you for all that you do. And also, I want to say mahalo. I believe we're getting a lifeguard tower over at Kalama Beach as well. And I heard today that there's going to be 6 new ambulances that were approved. So much needed. I'm very happy for your department. I'm just expressing a concern that came via some residents. And so I just want to go on record because I told them I would. They said that after the recent sweep of houseless in Kapa'akori, that those houseless individuals have now kind of migrated into downtown Kailua, and the residents are feeling unsafe. So I just wanted to express that on their behalf. They feel so unsafe that they are concerned about retaliation. And so they sent us an anonymous email, which Chair has printed for all board members, and it was a lot more detailed. But it made me think about what happens after the sweeps. I'm not sure if CORE goes and assists folks and offers them opportunities to go into shelter or some other type of program. But I think the common frustration would be, well, if you move folks, they're going to just migrate somewhere else. It's not dealing with root causes. So I just wanted to share that with you as the mayor's rep tonight on behalf of the individuals that wrote to us.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And that is the circle that we see on all parts of the island. And I do work closely with CORE. They're in the department that I work with, and HPD knows as well. We are constantly, there's sweeps and then they have to go somewhere. And a lot of the times they don't want to go into the shelters. So I will pass that along. We can get you that phone number for CORE. And again, that's outreach. We don't do any type of enforcement, but it is good to at least let us know where these groups of people are so we can put them on our list to check in with and go from there and try to get them resources. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Shane, I will forward that email to you so you've got the full context.
Thank you.
Other questions? Gary Weller.
Hi, you know what I'm going to talk about, don't you? Kapahakori Road was closed for 3 days during the rain. The water was, in some cases, up to the tops of people's vehicle wheels. If the city would have taken better maintenance of the left and the right-hand side of the road, and the city would convince the state to take care of the other side of the road wouldn't have flooded, and all the tenants that work up there would have been able to get to their businesses. So once again, a little work on the vegetation would have allowed the water to drain quicker and leave the road so it was open. And something the city always kind of forgets, that road is an escape road. So if for some reason something really bad happened in Kailua, we could transverse that road to get from one side to the other, address the poly or address the H3 or the leaky. So by having that road not function in a disaster is a terrible example to be set. So please, please convince the state and yourself to keep it maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Agree.
Evan Weber.
Aloha, good to see you. I am also following up on a repeat question that we've had for you. And yeah, a couple months ago, we've talked about this back and forth a couple times. It's related to vandal-proof soap dispensers in the bathrooms here in Kailua Beach Park and District Park. But a couple months ago, we passed a resolution that we sent to the mayor and other members of the city and county, um, asking for action on that, not just for Kailua, but for all bathrooms across public parks and facilities. And yeah, we're still awaiting a response, even though we told we would have one. So I just wanted to bring it back to your attention that you might be able to, again, prod it or share any information that you have. But yeah, this remains a problem. We received a bunch of letters from elementary school students at Ka'ohao School. So these are the keiki of our community, and several of them actually complained about the state of our bathrooms. So I just want to quote one of them from a student here named Isaiah, who a number of times mentions the bathrooms and the lack of soap dispensers. The restrooms are unsanitary, and some of them do not have toilet paper or soap. The bathrooms are unsanitary because some don't have any soap, paper towels, or toilet paper. The public bathrooms floors are stained yellow and the walls are covered in graffiti. The toilets and mirrors are also scratched and disgusting. So anyways, I've asked a number of times. Now Isaiah and several other elementary students are asking for action on this to please work with us to help protect the health, safety, and well-being of our community. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Online. Donald Sakamoto.
Thank you, Chair. Just got a question concern lifeguards. Kalama Beach, I used to go there when I was young, and I used to swim over there. That's me current. But how is the access for lifeguards to patrol at the twilight? You know, when there's I think they have times that they have to be there on the beach, and then they have to leave at a certain time. Has the time been extended, and how well is it to store equipment at Kailua Beach Park for emergency for the lifeguards to use, like jet skis and whatnot? Has that been investigated?
So first I'll speak to their equipment, and equipment's a big issue everywhere because they don't have offices. So they do store their equipment either in their towers or there's containers you've probably seen at the Lanikai end of Kailua Beach Park. They're green containers where we now keep a lot of our equipment. We used to keep it in the middle of the bathrooms at Kailua Beach Park. And as just described, the bathrooms are pretty bad. So it was not a good scenario. So now that we've moved steps towards the containers and then steps now towards having the building and the facility for the Kailua and Windward operations, equipment will be safe and secure. And as far as patrolling, they get on at 8 o'clock and are off at 6:30. And they constantly, you may see them on the ATVs. It all kind of depends on how busy the two towers are on the more Kailua Beach Park buzzes Lanikai side, because those are where the two towers are. But that's why when we do install the Kalama Beach Park tower, it will make a world of difference. The tower guards from the buzzes side will no longer have to go all the way down to the castle side and cover that huge stretch of sand and shoreline. So we're looking forward to that. There is no date on when that tower will be installed. Again, we've had a lot of changes. Things are not completely settled right now. So we're looking for things to settle just a little bit. People fall into the positions they're going to be in. And then we look forward to that being a really big announcement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, appreciate it. I appreciate also the 7 letters I received from 6th graders at Kailua School. And I know that Kellyanne also received at least 1 letter. And to hear it from a 6th grade perspective so succinctly really does put an exclamation point on the issue. So thank you for passing that on.
I agree. May I ask a question? I'm so sorry, Chair, just for clarity. Do you folks, I know there's sections of your board. Do you folks have any direct contact with like the director of DPR or all of your concerns go through myself or whoever is here on behalf of the mayor?
They go through you as the mayor's representative to the appropriate department heads, unless there's a resolution passed.
Okay.
And
But
when a resolution is passed, I will draft a letter forwarding the resolution with additional context and copy Jim, and I'll also now copy you as well when that happens.
because I do agree as well, this is a very important issue, so I would like to see it resolved. So
Yeah,
that's it.
the soap dispenser one that was mentioned, if I didn't send it to you also, I will forward that to you.
Please do. Thank you.
Mahalo. Move on to Governor Green's representative, Aaron Connor.
Good evening. My name is Erin Connor, representing Governor Josh Green tonight at the Kailua Neighborhood Board meeting. One quick update before I answer last month's questions. There was a capital improvement project that was sort of a release of funds, but the funding had already been released and the request will revert $900,000 from construction to $500,000 in planning and $400,000 in design for the public dog park off Hamakua. So I believe that was brought up in March. Someone had asked that question, but the funding had already been released. Now it's reverting to planning and design funds, which should be completed June 2026. I only have a tiny bit of information, so one of our state representatives might have a little bit more background on the project. And as far as questions from the month of May, there were several for our wonderful Department of Transportation regarding the Mokapu median grass trimming first. The area of Mokapu Boulevard from the back gate of the Marine Base to South Kalaheo is not DOT land. DOT has access up on Mokapu up into 170 feet south of South Kalaheo. So they stop before the Kalaheo street. Across the street is not state DOT median areas. However, in light of that, the grass on Mokapu is maintained once a month, and that the recent rains and Kona lows have disrupted DOT's maintenance cycles, unfortunately. Immediately following the storms, crews spent the week addressing potholes that pulled crews off the maintenance work. In areas where DOT had capacity, crews started addressing landscaping and are resetting the maintenance schedules now that storm recovery has been completed. HDOT's Windward crew is currently addressing Kalaniana Ole Highway this week. If you need to report the grass needing trim, there is a number and email for both the State Department of Transportation as well as the city's Department of Facility Maintenance. And so I'm sure you all have that, but I will happily pass that on again to Chair in an email so I can make sure I get it all written correctly. And as far as the second question for DOT regarding the committee motion last month about encouraging the state to act on the 2014 installation of a traffic signal at Ulupi'i Street and Kalani'anaole Highway in front of Malawili Elementary School. The status of the project, HDOT conducted traffic signal evaluations at the intersection of Kalani'anaole and Ulupi'i in 2007, 2014, and 2018. All three studies, it was determined that the vehicle and pedestrian volumes crossing at the intersection did not meet the indications that a traffic signal would improve the safety or operations at this intersection. In January 2024, HDOT reconfigured the intersection and installed those speed tables at this intersection. The transportation funding project for larger projects that may use federal funds is fiscally constrained and determined through a planning processes like the Transportation Improvement Program. As a traffic signal at Kalani'anaole and Ulupi'i was not warranted, this project was not added to the TIP and no funding was allocated for that traffic signal. However, as reported to the Kailua Neighborhood Board previously, HDOT will be installing traffic signals at Kailua Road and Ululoa Street and Kailua Road and Ulumanu Drive. The department is reviewing submittals for equipment and will provide an update to the board next month. I will take your questions now.
Questions? Yeah. In regards to the studies back in 2015, 2017 era, they were only looking at the one intersection, and they weren't taking into account that if there was a traffic signal there, volume from the other two exits from the community, a lot of it would migrate to the safer traffic signal. And that was acknowledged by State Department of Transportation in one of those emails I could dig up, that, gee, they didn't take that into consideration, but then they would. And so I'll look forward to the next steps. I appreciate it. Any questions from the audience? Online? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business are reports from our elected officials, starting with Senator Chris Lee. The Representative Natalia Hussey-Burdick. Yes, that'd be great.
She's going to share screen on the presentation that I made. But I just came from the Festival of the Pacific opening ceremony, so it's actually still going on right now. I'm super excited about that. That's kind of the biggest thing that's going on for the state legislature right now, because session is over and we funded this festival through our budget. It's actually going on from the 6th through the 16th. They have all kinds of different events all day long happening in different places. A vast majority of it is going to happen at the convention center. They're going to have, it's almost going to be like a map of Polynesia where there's hale for every little set of islands. And there's going to be delegates from each island. They're going to teach you about their art and their culture. It's a really beautiful celebration of Pacific arts and cultures, and I highly recommend you join them. All the information about the schedule and where everything is going to be is on bestpackhawaii.org. So I really encourage you to go to some of those events. It's going to be a lot of fun. Next. I know I've been getting a lot of calls and emails about the discharge of the bacterial exceedants at the Kailua wastewater treatment plant. When this happened last year, we organized a lot of community leaders and elected officials to go tour the Kailua wastewater treatment plant to see what's going on there. Back then, it was kind of a series of unfortunate events. They've mostly fixed all the mechanical issues, the chemical issues, Last month, they had a bacterial exceedance that was due to the Kona lows, because while sewer system is totally different than the rainwater system, there are a lot of holes in our sewer system. And so the rainwater actually gets in and it creates this surge of water, and the water doesn't have enough time to properly go through all the digesters and the chemical processes. So what we end up with is a bacterial level that's higher than it's supposed to be allowed by their NPDES permit. This particular bacterial exceedance that was issued on June 4th was not from the Kona, sorry, it was issued on June 1st. That was not from the Kona lows. They're still investigating the cause of that. I'll let you know as soon as I hear what it's from. It was canceled on June 4th, but it was actually clear a couple days before then. They just wanted to, because they don't know what it is caused by, they just kind of wanted to keep the warning signs up for a little bit longer just in case. But that bacterial exceedance is good. The DOH puts out emails about this, so I highly recommend you sign up on that link right there. I can send you the link via email if you can't use a QR code. And you'll get emails in your inbox about when all the stormwater and brownwater advisories go out and when they're canceled. We do currently have a brownwater advisory. This is from stormwater runoff. It's been in effect since May 28th. Brownwater advisory just means that contamination is possible due to stormwater runoff from, possible pesticides, possible animal waste, cesspool residues are getting into the water, and it may or may not be safe. I personally wouldn't swim in that area right now. The brownwater advisory started off island-wide, and then it shrank down to kind of just Kailua Beach. And now it's only limited to an area they call Oniava Beach, which is basically from Kaimalino to Kaione Place. Next. And I do post on social media when those get lifted too. We had an amazing turnout at the Wildfire Prevention Town Hall. It was at Kalaheo High School cafeteria because that high school is at risk. If there was ever another wildfire on that hillside, all of those homes and that school would be at risk. So we took the first steps due to Claudine Tomas's excellent leadership. We took the first steps to becoming a FireWise community. On the next slide here, we have a link that you can sign up if you want to be a part of that. I know that Lanikai is a FireWise community, which is excellent. And then we had asked at this meeting, we asked the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, who helps communities become FireWise communities, is this going to be like an all Kailua thing? Is it just a Kalaheo Hillside neighbor thing? And they basically said it's up to you. So if you're interested, please sign up on this link, and we will be having another meeting soon to figure out what that looks like. Next. And the last slide here is that we have another Little Fire Ant test kit distribution event Saturday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. It's going to be at Aikahi Park Shopping Center. Hope to see you there. That's all.
Okay, mahalo. Questions for Representative Hussey Burdick? Levani Lipton.
It's more of a comment at this point, but I am concerned about what appears to be increasing frequency of bacterial exceedance. And something that I've been noticing is, I believe they do like random sampling. They have to. That's what they told us at the wastewater treatment plant. But they'll issue a warning and then they'll cancel it just days later. And like for the public, it's very confusing because there's like, people get wind of it and then it's been canceled. But then there's another bacterial exceedance. So, from a public health perspective, I don't think it's contained in one particular area. So just because they're saying Oniava doesn't mean that it can't be in other parts of Kailua Bay. So I'm just thinking for the average person, it's confusing. And a lot of times people don't even know. They still don't know unless it's a brown water advisory and that can contain sewage. So I'm concerned about this latest one because there were no rains. So that only leaves me to question whether there are holes in the infrastructure. So that really has me worried. But it's just something that we need to think about. And I went to a presentation actually by the students at Kauhau, and some of it was related to water quality. And they were saying there needs to be signage in other languages because the tourists are the only ones that are in the water. So, you know, we said, why don't you come and present to our neighborhood board and our city council? They did such an amazing job. But there's a lot of flaws in the system, the process, the alerts that go out to the public. And I feel like if we're going to improve water quality and improve public health and safety, we need to kind of be aligned. So I would love for us to work with the agencies on that.
Absolutely. This is something that I've been continually working on and will continue to work on, is better signage in better locations in other languages, and ultimately to find a better solution to our sewer problems. Because I mean, it's really hard to get people excited about like wastewater gardens and like incineration toilets, but that really is the key if we don't want to keep dumping sewer into our bay.
Steve Trecker.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the legislature in the last session passed funding for renovation and expansion of the wastewater treatment facility over on the Honolulu side of the island. And it was into the millions of dollars. Is that right? Do you remember how much it was?
I would have to look it up. I can look it up real quick, but not right this second.
Well, what I wanted to comment on was, as a resident of Kailua for 40 some odd years now, I would appreciate it if you and other members of the legislature would work hard on getting improvements to the Kailua wastewater treatment facility expansion. It seems like they get overwhelmed every time there's a storm. They get overwhelmed. There's an exceedance. There's brown water. People can't use the water on the beaches. And it's happened for years and years and years. And I think we need to allocate some of the money from the legislature's budget for expansion of the facility in Kailua.
So it's actually a city, and I don't know if Councilmember Keaina wants to talk about this more when she gets up here, but it's actually a city-owned facility, and they have allocated, I don't know how much money to upgrade to the UV light sanitation system, which is supposed to be in effect end of 2025.
Right, but isn't the appropriation that Steve Trecker mentioned for the other side of the island, isn't that also a city facility?
So it would also be a city facility. I have not confirmed how much was given by the legislature. I'll look it up.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the audience online? Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you. When they do the testing, do they grid off where they're going to test? And do they ever run that test up the canal?
So the test is actually completed at the plant. This is one of the things we learned on our site visit. They have basically one of the
Right.
last steps as it goes through the plant is.
You can tell when you go to the beach there, whether you should go in the water or not, just by looking at it. But sometimes the canal is even scarier. I know it goes back and forth with the tide.
Well, the
For
canal-
most part, water comes out of there.
The canal is up Mauka
Right.
from the plant. So that would be stormwater runoff, which doesn't have anything to do with the treatment plant.
Except when the tide comes in, it walks all that Kaimolino stuff up that canal and then back down it again. I mean, we've got a foot and a half tide.
Right. But so that's still stormwater runoff. That's not anything to do with the wastewater treatment plant. That's like wastewater runoff.
This is
of the
stormwater runoff.
Regarding the wastewater treatment plant, in addition to the in-plant measurements, if there's an exceedance and also on a weekly basis, there's also testing at the outfall pipe and also at a number of shoreline points. But what you're addressing, the canal, what would be
There's
the storm runoff?
25 houses on each side of that canal, and how many of them have got cesspools? And how many cesspools are in
Yeah.
Kaimolino And that water goes back and forth there. And it
Yeah.
hangs around there longer than it does up in Lanikai where there's no parking.
Yeah, absolutely. Cesspool upgrades to better creative alternatives than sewer is one of my top priorities. Thank you.
Levani Lipton.
If the legislation wanted to do something that might be helpful, is the city used to do something called smoke testing, where they put smoke down all the sewer laterals and all the sewer mains. And then they look for the results of the smoke, and it would tell them whether it was going into a storm drain or if people are feeding their gutters into the system. And they just haven't had the funding or the manpower to continue with that. I don't see them doing it at all anymore. So if the legislation funded just that, to get this Kailua sewage treatment plant to start doing the smoke test again, that would be a tremendous benefit to find out where all these leaks are that are getting the stormwater into the plant. Thank you.
Okay, Levani Lipton.
Thank you for that, Gary. Also, I've been able to confirm that when we do have these big storm events, they can't keep up with the velocity of the flow. So there is untreated sewage going out, which is concerning. But just to your point about the canal, I chair the Water Quality Committee. You're welcome to come. It's next Thursday at 6. And independently, there is a team of researchers from Stanford who are conducting experiments for enterococci all along different points in Kawainui, in that canal that we know is Oniava Canal, and they're testing all the way down to Castles. So what they're doing is they're looking at enterococci as a marker, but they're doing microbial tracking to see if it is human or animal feces, and they're trying to work backwards and see where it might be coming from. Well, they're halfway through. So they're halfway through their study. I recorded the results of the first 6 months of sampling, and now they do the more detailed studies. So I can get that to you if you give me your email. And then the completion should be around December, January. And so I can add you to the mailing list for that.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. We'll move on to Councilmember Esther Kiana.
Aloha and good evening, everyone. As a follow-up to the question with regard to funding, since I had the numbers handy, I just thought I'd provide an update because our budget just got passed yesterday. So yesterday's budget, capital improvement projects for Kailua wastewater treatment plant included $46.7 million. That is on top of $44 million that was appropriated last year. And of that 44 million, $11 million was for the installation of a UV light disinfection system to address the bacteria exceedance levels. I'm going to move quickly because I think there's a lot of questions going to be on the Hawaiian Homelands project. So let me just flag one other bill that may be of interest to people who have residential A homes, and those would be owner occupied homes. There has been grave concern, of course, of the rise in the property value. And as a result, people are pushed into the Res A and taxed, right? And so last year, the city council passed a bill to decrease for those homes up to $1 million, but we did not increase the threshold. And so on May 14th, I introduced Bill 34, 2024, which hopes to create 3 tiers for residential A TVUs, that's transient vacation units, as well as bed and breakfasts. Part of the problem is that we don't have enough tiers, for example. So there's not, it seems like there's not a system of equity in how you're taxed. So my tiers include up to 1.3 million, so I am increasing the threshold. Tier 2 would be for homes that are 1.3 to 3.5 million, and Tier 3 would be for 3.5 million or more. In addition to it being considered by the Budget Committee, we have every intent, now that the budget is done, to hold a permitted interaction group, which I will be active on, to continue what we did last year. And our target, of course, would be vacancy home taxes and looking at a lot of the exemptions where there seems to be abuse, because a lot of exemptions are like $300, and just it needs to keep up with the times, and we need to realize if that's fair for all taxpayers. Getting down to the resolution relating to Hawaiian homelands, it's 24-155, and Gloria will put it in the chat. I have given it out to all the neighborhood board members. If any other community members are in the audience when I sit down, please come and I have copies. What this resolution does is it actually approves the authority for the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services to be able to transfer the land to Department of Hawaiian Homelands. This is not a new issue. I know everybody is aware of this property. It's 10 acres of city lands. It was originally slated for Kalaheo Elementary School. And it wasn't built because of the instability. It wasn't built because they felt that there was adequate schools in the area. And so the city basically sat on it. And I do know that there were previous attempts by developers to tell the city to sell it to them for $10 million. And there was a lot of opposition to it. So in looking at the property, I need to tell you, within the last year, another developer did contact the Department of Fiscal Services to get a right of entry to do due diligence. And because I was already trying to see if the mayor would be open to thinking about Hawaiian homelands, I didn't know that he was going to consider giving it for free until just recently. So they told the director to contact me, and I said, no, we haven't done our due diligence. And by our due diligence, I do mean, and I apologize to all of the community members, there is no perfect way of doing this. Our due diligence is just beginning. In other words, I do want this to be a public process where you have ample time to be heard. I probably will go with a team separate from holding meetings in your community, to go door to door, to just tell you what's going on, answer any questions, and actually for you to share the stories that you have. The gentleman that talked about the maintenance fund, it's actually quite interesting because we have provided $20 million in the budget that hopefully will be used for infrastructure, but that's the first concept I ever heard on any Hawaiian homelands. It's unusual, but given potentially the instability of the place, it might be warranted. But I have to tell you, if this place is not stable and they do their due diligence and it wouldn't be a good fit, then the project will not likely move forward. So what they did want to do was go in and start doing coring, and just like you had said, you saw people for it previously go into your neighborhood and you didn't know who they are. So I'm sorry you found out like this. I want to be upfront. Anybody who goes in is going to be behalf of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to go in and do their due diligence. Now, the good news is I've known Cully Watson for a long time. He used to be the DHHL chair. And over the years, he has gained a lot of development experience, and he has a top-notch team. This is not the same DHHL that we have known historically. And so he is aligned with my preference that if they did find it feasible, that any project has to be aligned with the character and nature of the neighborhood. In other words, the other gentleman raised the issue of some of the flexibilities. That needs to be addressed because that is not the intent. Whatever the size of the lots are currently in Kalaheo would be likely what they would be targeting. And so when you take into account the roads that would be necessary, I just can't imagine a lot of homes. So with regard to density, we would be opposed to that as well, to just try to get as many homes that you want in there. I do know that the reason I was opposed to any developer is if you're going to pay $10 million for the land, you would have to do something phenomenal to get a rate of return on your investment. And that probably would have been density, or if not, very high tiered townhouses that were very expensive. So if anybody has any questions, let me just give you a potential time frame. I'm guessing the first public hearing, it will be in the Planning and the Economy hearing, which I chair a committee. The earliest will be August 22nd, which is a Thursday, and it would be at 9 a.m. Just based on how sensitive this issue is, I will likely not move the measure so that I could hold it until another hearing, which would be in September 26th for all feedback. And because we will be amending this, and then full council on October 9th. Even if that were to go through, they still have to do their own due diligence and all of the processes necessary for this. So with that, I'm willing to answer any questions.
Okay, questions for Councilmember Kiana? Donald?
Yeah, I just quickly read the resolution and it says that the way I'm looking at it, that is the property is going to be sold fee simple. And that means from the city to DHHL, or does that mean each lot is going to be?
No, definitely not. If no one on Hawaiian Homelands owns the land.
Right.
It's okay. So what would happen? The only reason you've seen some verbiage about some funds is that as I was seeing if they could give it for free, the city administrators just commented, Esther, we still may have some outstanding debt relating to land exchange, relating to the rail. Is that okay that we could put that for the value of it? So the title of the lands will go to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. So it would be perpetual. And just given the nature of it, what we could do to assure individuals that about the size is just we work with the department to maybe make sure that in the agreement that that's the way it is. It can't be made lower. And I mean, all my family live on Hawaiian Homeland. So, but during this process, I hope that not only at the city, but I think the Department of Hawaiian Homelands would be interested into coming out to the community. Right now, they won't know much information because they haven't gone out there. But as I stated, I would appreciate you giving me your name and number. So as even now, I don't mind hearing what you have to say to give them some guidance as they go do their due diligence. All of you, actually. Yes.
Gary Weller?
Has the city done any research of when, going back in time to when the property was given to the city by Kaneohe Ranch, if there was any deed restrictions? And the reason I ask that is all the churches in Kailua that were given to the churches by Kaneohe Ranch have deed restrictions in them that they can only be a church.
Oh.
And so since that property was originally designated to be an elementary school, I was wondering if there's any deed restrictions that would hold this up.
Okay.
And then my second
I'll look into
issue
that.
is if the city does convey this to the state, maybe it'd be a good idea for the city to put deed restrictions in it, saying that it's only going to be residential, or so that 20 or 30 years from now, they're not building a big tall building or something else there that we didn't expect.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And also, someone mentioned a homeowners association. Almost all of the new subdivisions, if you go to Kapolei, there's several subdivisions there. They all require it. And I think the gentleman who testified online talked about it with regard to the maintenance. And so you have to paint your house every so often. So they have to abide by the rules of the homeowners association.
Steve Trekker.
Yeah, with regard to the millions of dollars that have been appropriated for the Kailua wastewater treatment facility improvements, what's the process that has to take place now that the money's been appropriated? Is there a permitting sequence that has to be gone through where they have to go to DPP, or what happens next?
The Department of Environmental Services. And I'm pretty sure that, like many of our violations at wastewater treatment plants, that this was federally mandated. And so they're on a tight time frame. But if you guys are interested, because it's so important, would you, I don't know those details, but if you are, or maybe in one of the subcommittees, I'm willing to have someone from the Department of Environmental Services give you a full-on briefing where you can query them on all of the minutia that you guys have been raising.
Great idea.
Yeah, we did have a presentation on this about a year ago, and it seemed to me 2026 was the target year for finishing the upgrade. But an update to that would be appreciated. If we could do it in the water quality meeting or the full
Yes.
meeting.
And the only thing, I have to tell you, I was disturbed because the recent exceedance levels, I wasn't being notified, okay? I had to have my staff go online and get it from the Department of Health. And then they in turn went on the city website and it was on it, okay? So just those kind of details, it's unacceptable because people are swimming out there. Again, it's the failure of a proper notification from the city, but also better coordination between the Department of Health and the city. And that's both for brown water as well as bacteria exceedance levels. So that's why I think that it's timely to have and I can help you with that.
And we've also suggested a number of times, and we'll bring it up again with the Ocean Safety Department that's being stood up, of a comprehensive signboard at the entrance to beach parks that would talk about brown water, it would talk about box jellyfish, it would talk about rip currents, and anything that person going to the beach should be aware of. And by standardizing that at Oahu's beach parks, all of them, residents would know exactly where to look and what to expect, and we'd have a better chance of catching the visitors as well.
Thank you.
Chair,
Levani Lipton.
I would like to suggest that we have the folks, including Director Babcock, come to the water quality meeting in July, if his schedule permits, because that way we can dedicate a full hour to fleshing out some of these issues instead of just a 10-minute presentation. So.
Yeah, I think that would be better also. Because the July 4th holiday is impacting the schedule, this would actually be the third Thursday, July 18th.
And if I may, while we're on this topic, I know this is premature and early, but I do have two main concerns with the Kalaheo Hillside from the water quality perspective. And one would be, I don't understand all the engineering, but the cancellation of the stormwater drainage, that would be a concern for me. I'm sure there's other things that would be proposed to mitigate stormwater, but that's a very big concern. And the other concern is also the sewer capacity. So they're already saying that they can't handle large flows, and then you build more homes and tapping into the, sewage infrastructure. And then, unless they're going to build a bigger facility, we already have a bigger tunnel. I'm not sure how all of that would be handled. So that would be my
Thank you
concern.
for that. And I have a staffer on who's helping me take notes. I'm just wondering that since the city owns all of those other streets, that against this backdrop, in addition to any infrastructure that would be necessary for these homes, if it were to go through, that they also look at flood mitigation measures for the whole neighborhood as part of the community benefits for having this project move forward.
All right, other questions? Evan Weber.
Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity to quickly mahalo you, Council Member Esther Kiana, for your leadership on this proposal around the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's potential. Concerns aside, I personally think this is really potentially exciting. And Kaneohe has DHHL, Homestead, Waimanalo has, and I think the potential of Kailua doing our part to fulfill the trust is really, really exciting. So I just wanted to mahalo you for your leadership and the process that you laid out, and also mahalo the community members who came here with your concerns, and encourage you to continue showing up in the ways that Councilmember Kia Aina suggested to make sure that they're addressed. And yeah, also encourage you to keep an open mind, as John White fits to actually for the development on that hillside. And just Hawaiian homestead communities are really great communities, and they can enhance the character of the surrounding region, both culturally and in terms of the infrastructure. When we talk about the fire risk of the Kalaheo hillside, it's worth mentioning that the Leali'i Village Hawaiian homestead community in Lahaina was one of the only places that did not burn down in Lahaina because of the really thoughtful fire safe construction there. And I have, like Councilmember Kia Aina, I know Chairman Kali Watson very well and have a lot of faith in his leadership. So for this to happen while he is chair, I think would be really, really great. And I have ultimate faith that there will be good process and really smart development and construction. And if Kalaheo Hillside does not end up being an appropriate site, I do hope that we'll come together as a community to find another place in Kailua to make this happen, because I think it's a really important and incredible idea.
Other questions from the audience? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you. And I just want to also say that on top of the hearing process, after DHHL conducts their due diligence, I will ask them to actually come and give an update to the neighborhood board on their findings.
That would be terrific. Mahalo. Representative Scott Matayoshi. Representative Lisa Martin.
Aloha, everyone. So I missed the last neighborhood board meeting. We had just finished the legislative session and there was a majority caucus event. Relationships are very important, as you know, to getting things done. So I was there that night. It was a really great session for me. I know it seems like a long time ago, but things are still working their way through the system, and the impacts of legislation that we passed, some things are still getting signed now. Earlier this week, I attended a bill signing for our tax cut bill, which is a pretty unique event in our state to have that dramatic tax reduction for all income levels. I had been pushing for tax credits for targeted populations, for families with children, for people caring for kupuna. And this is what happened instead. And I have to say that the impact for those groups is going to be very significant. What it will do to our total revenue is still a little bit unclear. It's the kind of thing that you don't know until you try it to see what happens. The other tax bill that was signed was eliminating the GET tax for medical and dental care. We have no GET in institutions like hospitals, but our private providers that care for a lot of us here in Kailua, they have GET taxes, and this will help them stay in business. So those are some pretty significant things. Some other ones that were signed recently. In my committee, as Chair of Human Services, we did a lot for kupuna this year. I'd have to say it was the year of the kupuna. Hopefully next year will be the year of the keiki. But two of the bills that deal with community-based care homes, compensating those homes more appropriately for the costs that they take on when they care for kupuna, those were signed. And that was really great. We also separately increased the Medicaid reimbursement rate, which was not in a bill that was in the budget. So we really did a lot to take care of those providers that have not had their rates increased for over 16 years. And you can imagine the costs have gone up dramatically. And if they go out of business, the people they care for will go into institutional settings where we as a state do pay for it at a much higher rate. Some of the other things that really excited me this session, in human services, we were able to pass an increase in the compensation for Medicaid reimbursement for ABA services for autistic children. We have a very proactive group of parents of autistic children here in Kailua that have really been leaders, and our rates were just so low that kids on Medicaid could not get those services, even though they are entitled to them on Medicaid, because the providers would not take Medicaid patients. The DOE, Department of Health, other payers paid so much more. And so now we've equalized the rates so that everybody can access those services. Some of the other things happening, funding. So the biggest thing that happened in my district for CIP funding was for Kailua High School. Last year, we tried to get field improvements, athletic facilities improvements funded. There was political issues and we could not get it done. This year, fortunately, 10.5 million was allocated in this year's budget for the baseball field, which has craters. We have, I think our baseball team might have been state champs. And we have a really, nope, OIA champs. Okay, I knew it was something, which is really impressive. And we have craters in the field that are huge ankle twisters. So, so that is great. The one reason that it was not fixed in the past was concerns over Title IX. So we have put in the budget a project yet to be defined that will be for girls' sports so that we can spend that money on the baseball field. There is a softball field. The softball field is in good condition. So that won't be the project. It will likely be the girls' locker rooms. But we will work with the school to see what it will be. And then finally, we'll repair the bleachers for the football field and also do work on the stream that's flowing in under the football field and track from the women's correctional facility and has caused us to have a sagging, soggy field and track. We'll look into that. And if depending on what we find, we may have enough funds to do the repairs, or we may find that we have to only do the planning and go back for more funding for the actual repairs. In addition to all of that, Kailua football field does not have lights. They haven't had functioning lights for a year. They are planning to do a temporary job of external wiring on the existing poles, which they have already repaired to make them safe so they don't fall over, but not functional yet. So if that wiring system works, and they won't know till they do it, we may have lights by this coming school year, which would be huge. There is a plan to replace all of the poles, which is like a $6 million project as well. And that funding is coming not from separate CIP funds, but it's coming from the existing facilities maintenance fee out of the DOE, which is great. So our new lights should be up for the following school year. So it's a process, and it doesn't help our current students as much as it will in the future. The last thing I wanted to bring up is that I know I keep talking about little fire ants all the time. Now I'd like to talk about coconut rhinoceros beetles. Unfortunately, they are here. It's not something that's on the west side anymore. They are on the windward side. There are parts of Waimanalo that are heavily infested. They have been seen in Kailua. When you see, I've learned a lot about coconut rhinoceros beetles recently, and I have been worried about my lulu. I have, as many of you know, a project at Hamakua Marsh where we have been planting a native forest, and we have planted literally hundreds of lulu palms. And in a moment of panic, I decided we are going to try to save them. So I had somebody from UH Extension come out and teach us how to net them properly. And we have started that process. It's actually not as hard as I feared, though it's not one and done. It's the most vulnerable part of the palm is the top where the new fronds come out. So once you do it, you have to adjust it every month. So it is a commitment. But if anybody wants to learn how to do it, you can come out to Hamakua Marsh, any of our drop-in volunteer days, which is every Monday from 4 to 6, or every first Saturday from 9 to 11, and we can show you what we've done and how to do it properly. Because if you want to save your trees, that's one option. Another option is injections of a systemic pesticide. If you do that, it is a poison also to bees or birds. So you have to cut off the flowers and fruits at the same time. That's not something that we could afford to do in a forest, but maybe in your own home, that would be the right choice. But anyways, the CRB is here and we do have to do something about it. With that, I will answer any questions.
Mahalo. Questions for Representative Martin? Very Weller.
Are you going to stay until we do this motion?
What is your motion?
This is the one about all the mangrove removal.
Oh, yes, I will. I'll say the end.
Yeah, I'd like you and Natalia and even Esther to stay for that.
Is it one that you do want it removed or you don't?
I'm sorry?
It's in support of removal or in opposition?
I don't know.
Support.
Support. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
very in support of it.
I've had, is it in the proposed dog park area? Okay, just as in follow-up, that is, I've been hearing a lot from constituents who are understandably, the people that live immediately adjacent to the proposed dog park are very concerned about that, about the development. And I completely understand that. However, there have been a lot of opposition to removing the mangrove, and we definitely do want to remove the mangrove. It is not fitting habitat for our native endangered birds. There are a lot of birds there, I understand, but not the ones that we are trying to save. And so that project may have a negative impact on the immediate neighbors who are used to having the benefit of that land, but it is going to be a positive for our native birds. Thank you.
Okay, we still have one presentation and two motions this evening. So any questions very briefly? Donald Sakamoto?
Chair, question for Representative Martin. Representative Martin, I'm with the Committee for Accessible Transportation for Department of Transportation Service for City. Director Roger Martin had a meeting on the 28th of March and indicated that there was a letter sent to Department of Health Director and Department of Human Services to increase the MedQuest transportation per paratransit handyvan from $225 to the clients that use it for the state, $5 each way. So I just want to know if you had dialogue with Director Morton on this matter to see if you folks can afford it with your budget, because of the increases for MedQuest clients.
I really apologize. I could not hear that. If you wanted to talk to me offline about that, I'd be happy to. I could not hear or understand your question.
Yeah, it's just about the MedQuest being increased for paratransit handyvan. The city's been using these $225 tickets, and the state has been using it. So now they want to increase. The mayor of Honolulu wants to increase it $5 each way for the state MedQuest program.
Donald, I'm going to it's still a bit garbled, and I'm going to ask that you communicate that with Representative Martin outside of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I apologize that I couldn't understand it. I'm happy to address it. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Senator Jarrett Keohokalole. Nicole Gray on behalf of Representative Jill Takuda.
Thank you for allowing me to get this update tonight. So I'll be really quick. There were two big things in DC over the last couple of weeks for Rep. Takuda. The NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, and the Farm Bill. With the National Defense Authorization Act, she was able to have provisions included directing the Department of Defense to improve efforts to combat the spread of invasive species in Hawaii, especially the coconut rhinoceros beetle, requiring stricter reporting requirements for child abuse and harm at military child development centers, and requiring an analysis of housing impacts of the August 2023 Maui fires on housing for military service members and personnel. For the Farm Bill, she did vote against sending the House Republicans' partisan Farm Bill to the full House of Representatives after a 13-hour markup. And on big news, this Monday, June 10th, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., she will be having a district-wide telephone town hall. To participate, call directly to the event by dialing 833-946-1568. And you can, of course, contact our office for more information on this. If you have any questions or if there are any outstanding questions for our office, I'll do my best to answer or take them to the appropriate people.
I thought I read that you needed to pre-reserve. If you just simply call that number at the time of the town hall, you can get in.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions for Nicole Gray? Online? Okay, mahalo for staying with us.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. Next order of business, reports from members who attended other meetings. Any members have reports to make? Levani Lipton.
Mahalo, Chair. Just very briefly, I and Carol Miyashiro, Carol, if you're still on, you can feel free to add. We attended a meeting last Friday at Adventist Health Castle, and it was a meeting for us to learn a little bit more about the MH1 process and discharge, and just to inform ourselves. And so this was the second meeting that we had, and we were also able to tour the facility, the mental health unit on the 3rd floor, and we're grateful for that opportunity. And so we're just trying to figure out where we as community advocates can play a role when it comes to advocating for more beds, more outreach for those folks who have mental health issues and who are houseless. So it's very informative, and I just want to thank Carol for arranging it.
Okay, mahalo. Anyone else? Carol Miyashiro.
Hi. I just want to add, as Levani said, it was a very productive meeting, and so we'll provide additional information as we progress with some solutions, hopefully. I did attend a meeting sponsored by Kailua CERT, and Haima was also present at the meeting. They were one of the main presenters. I did have the opportunity to speak with them or to ask the question as to why there are no designated hurricane shelters in Kailua. And I followed up with an email to see if we can have an opportunity to speak further with HAIMA or a representative to discuss, what kind of progress we can make in going forward, to at least look at whether one of these schools in Kailua would be able to be retrofitted using SIF money already appropriated by the legislature. So again, that's something that requires some more follow-up, but hopefully we'll be able to get some additional information in the near future. And that's all I have.
Okay, mahalo. We'll move on to the next order of business, which is a presentation. We have Mark Holland, owner of Whale Environmental Services, here to discuss an environmental disclosure document in support of an SMA major application at 1588 Mokulua Drive. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I shared the screen. Hopefully you can see the presentation. This is the property at the far end of Lanikai Drive. It's currently a dual property. It has a single-family dwelling and then a non-conforming structure along the shoreline. The proposal, hopefully I can get the presentation to show up.
Yes, we see the presentation.
Okay, I don't know how to advance.
If you tell us, we can advance it from here.
Okay, so this property is, as you can see from the aerial, we have to go to DPP and show that we appeared from neighborhood board. It's a property that by statute or law, whatever you want to call it, the non-conforming structure along the shoreline is going to be taken down. They're going to move everything back to the front property, which also be demolished and replaced. So go from a two-property property down to one property. And the shoreline setback, which was holding us up on this project, was mainly because the wastewater and drainage division of land and natural resources and a division of wastewater along with EMV control the drainage easement at the far end of Lanikai Beach. And this property has a drainage easement that runs down along the southern side and has a discharge culvert that the stairs that went down to the beach for EMV to clean out the culvert and to maintain the property. So we went a long time with Rebecca at DLNR, and she finally agreed that this is not part of the property, it's part of the city's easement to control the property along those things. So essentially this is a SMA 23-4 type property, which the non-conforming structure along the shoreline will be demolished. Everything will be moved as marked as possible along Lanikai Place. And the entire property will be conforming with current standards, including format. These are the photos of the site. As you can see, right now there's a non-conforming structure. Everything else around is just grass. The shoreline was put in years ago, as Rebecca's agreed to, just a rock stone wall like most of Lanikai has. outside of the fact that there's the steps that lead down to maintain the culvert from the wastewater division. The next slide, please. So this is a topo of the plan. As you can see, everything's going to be as marked as possible along the front of the site. The immediate part of the site on the drive side is just basically a common easement drive. And the existing house, it's pretty much like, I guess I want to say termite invested. So they will abandon the house along the shoreline and then replace the house along the drive as much as possible. Next slide. So this is a schematic of it. Again, we're adhering to height restrictions, everything that has to be done. We're going to things. This will come in front of Esther later on, and she will make sure that we do everything correctly, as she always does. And so this particular property is basically retreat from the shoreline, eliminate the non-conforming structure, put the new replacement structure basically on the same footprint of the one that's there, with a structural component that works. Next. So this is the footprint of the site. Next. The next slide, please. So again, it's just basically nothing will be backed by the shoreline. The non-conforming structure be removed, and the new structure replace an existing structure, be relatively on the same footprint, and conform with all necessary building components. Next slide. Same slide again, I guess. Next slide. So obviously, most of Kailua is in the SMA area. This one is also, it's at the far end of Lanikai Beach. And it's in SMA, so that's why we're doing the SMA permit. Next slide. The plot map, as you can see, it's at the far end. These are all the really nice houses, I guess, for lack of better words, at the far end of the beach. This is probably the last single family dwelling down the road, as you see the intersection of the two roads. And they're retreating from the non-conforming structure along the shoreline, move everything as much as they can marker. Next slide. So this is the shoreline certification map. As you can see to the right of this property, this is the section where the wastewater division of EMV has a culvert that takes all the drainage off Molokai Drive and runs it down. They have a set of stairs right here that they go down and clean out the culvert exit. So we spent a long time with Rebecca at Land and Natural Resources to make sure that this was excluded from the shoreline setback. The rest of the seawall belongs to the property, and they agreed to exempt the culvert, stairs, culvert clean out area along the beach as part of the easement that runs down the right side of the property. Next slide. This is the annual highway flooding. The vegetation line is down by the shoreline, which is expected at 3.25. Like most of the line Kai is up on the property. So this is one of the reasons why they have to elevate the structure on the property. Next slide. Again, the 3.25 encompasses most of the property, as most of the shoreline does. So flooding considerations are a big part of the planning part of the plans submitted by the engineer and the architect. Has to be foreclosed, and we submit this to DPP. Next slide.
Mark, we're at 10 minutes. If you could wrap it up in another minute.
Yep. So category 4, as you can see by the little red circle, it's really not in the category 4. Next slide. Tasami, it's not in the extreme, like most of that area. Evacuate if you have to. Next slide. Flood hazard, it's a VE in the blue, area AE in the orange. So it's basically the work area is not in the VE flood zone. Next slide. So it's allowed under the uses. It's been great in the past. This is a retreat situation, which I think the board would appreciate. And next slide. Soil maps, again, show that it's mostly clay and it's not jacket sands like normal. This is something where cultural considerations will be adhered to, but not necessarily prominent. Next slide. So we're out of Cuckoo. These are local people who are redeveloping their own property. We hope you appreciate it. Next slide. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, mahalo. The presentation is in the materials section for the Google Drive for this meeting. And it's on the agenda for Planning, Zoning, and Environment Tuesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. for more in-depth questions. But we can take a minute for any quick questions. Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, Bill.
An opportunity for more in-depth discussion at PZ&E on June 18th. Next order of business is individual motions. I'm not going to read this one. It's regarding mangrove trees and the negative impact of them in Kawanui and Kalapulu streams, and requesting the Department of Facility Maintenance remove all mangroves from sections of both canals under the city's management. Would anyone like to make this motion? Levani Lipton. Anyone like to second? Gary Weller. Levani, would you like to expound upon this?
Thank you, Chair. I know we're short on time, so I just want to say that, you know, in many places, people feel that mangroves are beneficial, but in our particular watersheds, they are not. And they trap sediment, and there's all kinds of adverse impact. So really, this is a long-winded explanation, just requesting that the city remove the mangroves along the city, the portions of the city embankments. There's been other stakeholders, including Kamehameha Schools, Enchanted Lake Residents Association, who have done their part to remove A and B as well. And so we're requesting that the city, as it's mandated, will remove the mangrove to improve water quality and benefit the natural habitat.
Mahalo. Other discussion. Gary Willer.
I personally have been involved as a consultant on 6 very large mangrove removal projects, starting in Kailua with Steve Holmes when he was our council person. He allocated $900,000 to do mangrove removal. We made recommendations at that time that just doing a section of the canals were the most stupidest thing that the state or the city could do, because the mangrove, the second the plant pod finds fresh water, it sends down roots and grows another mangrove. So unless we get rid of every single mangrove plant, we're wasting our money. We have spent in my lifetime close to $5 to $8 million on mangrove removal on the windward side. That's Kaneohe Marine Base, the 4 projects in the marsh area, and another project that was done by Kaneohe Ranch in the Triangle Park. So I think the time has come to get this done once and for all and never spend another dime on it. Thank you.
Other discussion? Online? Audience? Okay, call for the vote. Josiah Akau.
Aye.
Aye. Travis Council.
Aye.
Aye. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yes.
Aye. David Laea.
Abstain.
Abstain. Jade Lau. Mike Lee. Lavani Lipton.
Aye.
Aye. Carol Miyashiro.
Aye.
Aye. Kayala Morel.
Aye.
Aye. Kate Ryder. Claudine Tomasa. Aye. Steve Trecker. Aye. Aye. Evan Weber. Aye. Gary Weller. Aye. John White. Donna Wong. Aye. Jeff Suckernick.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, the motion passes 13-0 with 1 abstention. Claudine, would you like to make the other individual motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I'd like to propose that the Kailua Neighborhood Board will participate in the Aikahi Fire Safety and Preparedness Fair on June 23rd, 2024 at the Aikahi Park Shopping Center.
I second the motion.
And seconded by Donna Wong. Is there any discussion? Online? Audience? Okay, I call for the motion. Josiah Akau.
Aye.
Aye. Travis Council.
Aye.
Aye. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yes.
Aye. David Laea.
Yes.
Aye. Jade Lau. Mike Lee. Lavani Lipton.
Aye.
Aye. Carol Miyashiro.
Aye.
Aye. Kayala Morel. Aye. Kate Ryder. Claudine Tomasa. Aye. Steve Trecker. Aye. Aye. Evan Weber. Aye. Gary Weller. Aye. John White. Donna Wong. Aye. Jeff Suckernick.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously with 14 votes.
Thank
Mahalo.
you.
Next item of business is approval of minutes of May 2nd. Are there any corrections or adjustments, changes needed to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Committee reports. Would any committee chair wish to expand upon their committee report? Okay, we'll move on. Committee membership motions. Any changes to committee membership? Steve Trecker.
Yeah, I'd like to be officially on the Kailua Water Quality Subcommittee. I've been going to virtually every meeting, but I'd like to get on the committee.
All right, a request from Steve Trecker to join Kailua Water Quality Subcommittee. Lots of applause. Are there any objections to Steve Trecker joining the Kailua Water Quality Subcommittee? Seeing none, it's approved. Congratulations. Are there any other changes to committee memberships online? Okay, chair report. Committee agendas for July are due by Sunday, June 30th. It's later than normal because our July meeting is slipped to July 11th. And this meeting is adjourned at 9:52. Mahalo.
Thanks, everyone.